perks you love just got better. Now you can earn perks at the pump and in the market. Use them for up to 20% off groceries or up to 30 free gallons of gas. All just for shopping or filling up at Market District or GetGo. It all adds up to real savings, like $20 off your $100 shopping cart. The new Fuel Perks Plus. More perks, more places, more savings. Learn more at marketdistrict.com/perks. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
Welcome to another edition of the Urban Wire, brought to you by the Urban Coalition of Freelance Writers, where we shine the light on issues impacting the urban community. Tonight we are here with episode 98, and we have a lot to talk about tonight. I'm not going to keep you guys too long. I wanted to get started a little early tonight, so everybody can enjoy their evening. But the topic that we're going to discuss tonight is the main topic is sexual degeneracy in Hollywood. And then we're going to get on some other current events. But there's been a lot going on in Hollywood lately. And it's just really crazy just to see all the allegations. It just seems like Hollywood is crumbling right before our eyes. So I've been following a lot of these stories that's been going on. We're going to break it down to you. And we're going to be discussing just some of the crazy things that have been coming out as far as like Charlie Sheen. He was accused today of raping Corey Haim back in 1986 when he was like a teenager. And we're going to talk about Harvey Weinstein, and then Terry Cruz even came out and said that he was assaulted in Hollywood. I don't know, I think it was probably recently, but yeah, he just came out today. I just read today where he is actually going to be filing a police report, and he never came out and said exactly who it was that he's accusing, but we're going to get to that. And then we're going to kind of compare it to, like, some of these people seem like they're getting away with this stuff, but we're going to compare it to the Bill Cosby case, because we know that he's been drugged through the mud, and he's losing out on money now, and from what I'm hearing, he's having his properties and all kinds of things just to stay afloat. So we're going to talk about that. This week on Sunday, we witnessed another massacre here in the United States, in Texas. We're going to get to that. And we're going to talk about what is the real face of domestic terrorism. We have so many stereotypes and images in our mind when we talk about terrorists in this country, but we're going to talk about who is the real face of terrorism in this country. So we're going to get to that. And also I want to get to, and we might just say this to next week if we don't have time, because I know this is going to be a really jam-packed show, but I want to talk about the entire, not entire, but this case where a college roommate was poisoned by her roommate. And it just really brings home the issue of you really need to know who you're dealing with, especially like, young kids going off to college and stuff. Like, you need to really stop being so trusting of people, because there's people out here that's jealous of you, and they will do anything to destroy you. And we're going to get on that situation. So we're going to jump straight to the line. Let me handle some household things real quick, because I know it's been a while since we've been off air. I want to let everybody know about our Facebook group page. We do have an actual page, but we have a group page too, where we chop it up. We spit game and stuff like that. We talk about what's going on. People can share articles, ideas for future shows, and then I kind of give you guys the schedule for the show. So you can go to Facebook and look under the Urban Coalition of Freelance Writers, because that's the network that we're on. The show is the Urban Wire. By the way, my name is Senica Harris. I am the founder of the Urban Wire and the Urban Coalition of Freelance Writers. So get on there, get your life, get your tea, get your news, updates, everything. We're going to really start popping that off. pretty soon. And, we have a YouTube channel, too. You can join at www.youtube.com/UCOFW. So get on there. We're going to start posting the entire podcast up on there. And for those of you who don't know this, because I really haven't been advertising it that well, we do have our podcast does come on several networks now. So we're really getting out there. I know we're on TuneIn Radio. We're on Stitcher. There's a couple more networks that I filed, to get the we're on. You can also get the shows on iTunes as well. You can download, go under UCOFW, and all the shows from start to finish, from day one are on there. So, like I said, just pass the word. We're really trying to get a positive message out there. We're trying to keep you informed and just have a respectful dialogue. So we're going to jump straight to the lines. I think we have two callers, and I think one of these might be JR, and I think the other one is Kane, but I'm going to see. 765-278. Is this Kane?
This is Matthew at
Hello?
Church, actually.
Okay. All right, man. Okay. All right. And let me jump to this 812 number. I think this might be JR. JR, is this you?
It's me. You know it's me.
Oh, Sookie now. Sookie. Now, it's about to be on and popping tonight. I know it's been a couple of months, actually, since we've done the last broadcast, and I know it's just been some crazy things jumping off in the media. I'm telling you, it's just, I don't know, I don't even know where to start. But, first and foremost, I want to welcome Matthew Upchurch online. I know me and him been talking for a while about, him coming on the show. He's very politically savvy, he has a unique point of view on things, and I really like that. So I invited him on tonight, and hopefully, we can keep him coming back here on a regular basis. So, Matthew, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? And then I'm going to ask you, JR, what you've been up to. But I want Matthew to introduce himself to the audience and just tell a little bit about himself.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, good sir. I appreciate you letting me participate here. Yeah, no, my background is actually in psychology and philosophy, and I kind of do a lot of interdisciplinary work between the social sciences and philosophy, and specifically within how cultures and individuals process symbols psychologically and socially, and how different systems of power use those symbolic systems to manipulate public opinion. And so that's kind of how I tend to look at things and the lens through which I do things. So, but yeah, that's my background and what I tend to do and tend to think about. So.
All right. Well, we want to thank you again for coming on the show. And JR, man, I'm telling you, you got to let us know what you've been up to. I know you've been busy lately, but yeah, what have you been up to these past couple of months?
My brother, I've been traveling all over, man, just loving life. This past July, as I've said in the past, I found my zen in life. And, it's that point, for those of you that don't know, it's what I describe it as. It's that point where life or God or whatever your belief structure is just lets you know that you're exactly where you're meant to be at. Life's just been really good to me, man. It's been really, really good to me here lately.
That's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah, all of a sudden everything just slowed down, and as you know, not that long ago, not that long ago at all, man, I was just on the edge, but here I'm good, man. Yeah, I'm been really good.
And, that's why I said that's why I wanted to start the show off with that song, Better Days, because I'm telling you, this year has just been a complete turnaround for me, too. And I know we're heading out of this year in about, probably about 7 weeks, almost at the end of this year. And I'm telling you, this time last year, I lost my father, just lost a lot of family members last year, but, I'm just a living testament that things will turn around. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you know, like you said, you know, I can only speak to what I believe, and I believe in the higher power, and I'm just thankful for God. Like, sometimes he takes you through things just so you can appreciate him. And I look back, I said, Lord, how am I going to make it? You know what I'm saying? I lost my father, you know what I'm saying? I was really close to my father. And I know you lost your father, too, last year. So.
Right, last October. Yeah, I was just as close to mine, you know. But,
I just want to tell people out there and encourage them. Yeah, I just want to encourage people that, you know, things do get better. You just have to keep pushing, and you just have to use those obstacles and trials in your life and tribulations as stepping stones. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I don't think God would bring you to something and not allow you to get through it. You see what I'm saying? So I just wanted to encourage people out there today. You know what I'm saying? You know, for some people this year may have not been that bad, but you just have to resolve to, you know, push through and get, you know, to the other side. So, you know, I didn't want to preach, you know, but I just had to just let you know tonight that, you know, I know some people going through some things, but just realize, you know, you just have to keep enduring, and you have to realize your calling in life. And you got to know, you know, there's people out here that love and care about you, and you have to keep enduring for them. You see what I'm saying? So
absolutely. Yeah, and life in itself just lets you know. You know, it although in the middle of the chaos, you know, things may not be clear. You know, there will be that moment of clarity, and everything will, you know, you'll be reassured. You know, and all of a sudden everything makes sense. Like all the lessons that you was taught in life just come forth, and all of a sudden everything just makes sense, you know, and yeah, man, it's a wonderful feeling. It really is.
And isn't it a wonderful thing that you can have peace when the world around you is chaotic and just it seems like it's crumbling, but you can have peace within yourself? That's just a wonderful thing, and that's just something I'm just really fascinated with, how I've just been at peace. I've met a lot of good people this year, a lot of new friends I've met. And you know, Matt, like, you know, I've been going to the Monkey Tail. Like, this is a place I've been going to for a while, but I really started going this past year, and it just seems like I've met a new family of people. Like, everybody's accepting. Yeah, I've made a lot of good friendships this year, and it's just like I really can't complain because, you know, just things have just been looking up this year, you know, and I'm planning on starting back school in January. You know, I already got my bachelor's. I want to go back and get my paralegal degree and stuff like that. So I'm just really trying to press forward and just stay on the straight and narrow, you know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much just all that's been going on in the past couple of months. I just wanted to get that out the way because I know people been asking, Senica, when you going to do another show? What's going on? So I just wanted to, you know, give an update on what's been going on. I guess we can jump right into the topics tonight. There's been a lot going on in the past month. As you guys know, that there has been two major mass shootings, one that took place down in Texas this past Sunday, and then last month we had the mass shooting that took place in Las Vegas, and both of which were just very, very just tragic. I mean, nobody saw this coming. It was just one of those things that, you know, just caught us off guard as a country. And I really want to talk about the most recent one that took place, like this past Sunday in Texas. And, I mean, this was almost like a repeat of what happened when Dylan Ruth came in and shot up that church and killed those 9 people. And it's just like, man, why is it? I have my point of view on it, but I want to start off with the facts of the case. For those of you, I'm pretty much, you had to be living under a rock not to know what's been going on. But this shooting happened on the 5th, and it took place in Southern Springs, Texas, and that's probably it's like a small town, kind of like 30 miles away from San Antonio. I was looking that up to see exactly where that was. And the gunman was a 26-year-old guy by the name of Devin Patrick. And he was the one that came into this church and shot, let me get my facts straight, he had killed 26 people and, like, it was like injured 20. So he came in there meaning business. So it was just very unfortunate. And from what I hear, he had ties with some of the people in that church. So it was just a really crazy situation that happened. People are still trying to sort this thing out. They're trying to see, what caused him to go over the edge. And I guess he had fled the scene, and I guess someone was trying to chase him down, and I guess they ended up crashing, and he ended up shooting himself. So, like, as always, it's no justice that's going to be served, at least on this side, because he was a coward. He committed a cowardly act, and he took himself out of here. So that's just something that's just very disturbing. But I wanted to get your guys' opinion on these events because it's really opening up the conversation of gun control and just mental illness, which I think is bullshit. Like, and then a lot of people are talking about how the media is spinning this narrative to where they don't want to call these people for what they are. They're terrorists. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's just crazy that we see the president of the United States, how he came out and condemned, like, the actions of that incident that happened in New York with the guy that was a Muslim. And it just seemed like the language was totally different because he called this guy an animal. He called him this, that, and rightfully so. The guy was wrong for what he did. But to me, the narrative is totally different when he's talking about the incident that happened in Las Vegas and this. It's just like a totally different thing. My thing is, if you're gonna call one person a terrorist, call them all a terrorist, because that's what we're dealing with, and we're dealing with domestic terrorism. And I don't think that the Muslims or Taliban is the biggest threat in this country. So I want to know. I'm gonna start off with Matt because I know he's new to our show. I want to hear his point of view, and then I'm gonna get to you, JR.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it. Yeah, it is pretty suspect that, when you have white shooters, that it becomes an issue of mental health as opposed to terrorism. It is interesting how that works. It does seem that in the last few years, when the different partisan responses go in mainstream media and respond to these things, especially on the conservative right, they usually respond, first of all, that it's not a time to politicize the moment. It's not a time to talk about gun control and all that. It's time to grieve for the families. But if it's someone with a different skin tone, then it starts turning into an issue of terrorism or an issue of needing to increase policing in an area or increase rule of law. And so it was interesting, though, within just a few hours after the shooting went public, social media just lit up. Trump is constantly talking about fake news. And it seemed that fake news was coming out of the woodworks that day. So within just a few hours, I noticed that all over social media, everyone was sharing posts that were saying that the shooter in the church was Antifa member, the shooter at the church was an atheist or a Muslim convert and all that. So it seems that we start politicizing these things, even if we say we don't wish to politicize them, because the fake news channels tend to do that for us. So we start creating these symbols of evil from either side, right? And so the symbols, would be, criminals, those who use and sell drugs, etc., terrorism. And we start creating these narratives about the other side and using these events as an opportunity to politicize under the radar. But if the person, fits into our narrative, then it's just a mental health issue, right? So I've kind of been thinking a lot about recent studies in the psychology of belief and neuroscience involving a phenomenon called confirmation bias. I don't know if you're familiar with this term. Confirmation bias is basically when you believe something about your world, your religion, whether it be your political views, and if someone gives us new information, new data, we have a tendency to not accept it because it doesn't fit into our framework of how we view the world, right? So what they found recently is that what's going on in the brain when someone brings you something different from your own worldview is that we go into a sort of biological survival mode. So we feel literally threatened by someone questioning our worldview, and our brains start categorizing things into two categories, those things which save us and those things which will destroy us. And so when we hear worldviews that question our narrative, our way of understanding the world and politics and our own national security, we tend to see anyone that questions that story as an enemy and something that could destroy us. So we can't hear the other worldview, and we can't do that. So what I think is that we have a bipartisan system in which Democrats are against Republicans, and we've set up the campaign in such a way that the other is always the enemy. Because really they're all, they're mostly bought by corporations who fund their campaigns. So really it's kind of one corporate party that has two separate marketing teams. So we set up either side as an enemy. And this constant anxiety, I think, has our entire culture in a state of almost kind of post-traumatic stress, so that we see either side as an enemy. And then fake news comes up and activates those triggers for self-protection. And so I think that's what's been going on a lot with the fake news. So fake news gets shared on social media. Everybody starts sharing it because that's that confirmation bias. We can't hear a different narrative from the other side because we are stuck in that post-traumatic stress mode of survival. So I think what we have to start doing is start questioning our own parties, those who actually do share political views, because we're not going to be able to have these gun control conversations if we can't start seeing the other as fully human and might have actually something to add to the conversation. So we've got to find some way to get out of this sort of survival mode, I think. But yeah, I think that's kind of where we are. Just there's been a shock to the system, and we're kind of responding to it. So there was a lot.
All right, JR, what do you?
What do I think?
Go ahead, JR.
What I think is, and again, this is just my opinion. First off, it's tragic. I've said that about, and I'm right there with you on that. By definition, it doesn't matter the skin color of the person or the religious background. An act of terrorism is just that. It is an act that is done to cause terror. Unfortunately, with terrorism, there are certain stereotypes that get brought up. You think of a terrorist, until about the 1990s, we immediately stereotyped it with, Muslim radicals, in Iran. Take, for example, the Pan Am flights, the bombings, Beirut, 1982, the Marine barracks bombing, Now, in the 90s, that kind of changed because then we had Timothy McVeigh, and that brought a whole new perspective to domestic terrorism. All of a sudden you had a white Catholic, this guy would have been a poster child, You had other things that happened that could be, by definition, could be considered domestic terrorism. Take, for example, Waco. Our own government burnt down an entire religious cult. It was a cult, but a religious compound, You had, the D.C. shooter. You had, countless. You had 9/11, blah, blah, blah. Now, everything he said is factual. The only thing that I would add, which is kind of like to go on one point that he kind of started going into, is, when you look at things from the middle of the road, you see the games wide open from both sides. And they're both playing the same game, like you said, different marketing schemes. But it's the same party, It's the exact same thing, I mean, seriously, I remember as a kid, the big issues, and we're talking back in the 70s and 80s here, the big issues, abortion, gun control, what do we hear all the time now still in political views, Well, what's your stance on abortion? What's your stance on gun control? Come on, get over it. Let's move on from there. We have much bigger problems than this. I actually had this conversation the other day where both sides right now are taking the exact same stance on the NFL boycotts. Different reasons. Now take for example this. You got one side saying freedom of speech, and another side saying right to bear arms. Both of them are constitutional amendments, but it's only to what's beneficial to them to keep that money flowing in. Right. It's all one big business, I sit back and, again, the events were tragic, and by no means am I saying that this was funny or anything like that. But when the politicians try to break out what their point of view is, and it may not even be their point of view, it's you got to look at who's putting the money in that point of view. That's what's funny to me, because do you think for 1 second that Donald Trump is this Christian right-winger? No, that's why they put Mike Pence in office, to put that illusion, because Trump was not going to get the far-right vote without somebody that was a far-right guy.
They're on the polar opposites when it comes to morality, this so-called morality or Christianity thing. Like, they're on the totally opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, it's crazy. But I'm going to jump in here real quick. Let me jump in here real quick, guys. I think we have another caller that chimed in. I'm going to see if they have a question or a comment real quick. Area code 724-221. Are you just listening at this point, or do you have a question or a comment?
Well, I'm listening, but I didn't know when you guys were finally going to get into this Charlie Sheen, Cory Haim, and all that. Is that on the table right now?
We're going to get into it, because I got a lot to say about that. Let me tell you.
Well, let me say something real quick. If everyone wants to pinpoint what is wrong with this country, what is wrong with the world, this is a prime example of it. These people now that are finally getting caught, even the Bill Cosbys, the Charlie Sheens, whether he did it or not, you just have to look at his other actions. These people are idolized. These people do public service announcements. They promote all these commercials, and it's to the point now people don't care what they do. They just want to see them on social media. They just want to see them on TV, on movies. And if you want to pinpoint something that's wrong with this country, why things are going downhill, I mean, you can go with Trump, you can go with anyone. People don't care anymore what these people are doing. All they care is about their fame and what they're promoting on TV, and it's a damn shame, and it's not going to change. Social media, everyone wants to say how great it is, how everyone's communicating with each other. I think it's the total opposite effect. If you actually dig in and look at these people, these athletes, 9 kids out of wedlock. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And I'm the biggest football fan out there. You know, I'm a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan. You know, back in the early 90s, the greatest team of all, you know, Michael Irvin. But I don't, you know, look at these guys and idolize them. It's just getting out of hand, you know, and the more you look at it, the bigger names, Bill Cosby now, Charlie Sheen, the directors, the actors. This country's going to hell in a handbasket, and the morals are absolute beyond anything I've ever seen, just like your comments, gentlemen.
Let me ask you this, caller, because I agree with everything you said. Do you think that this is just like a chain reaction now that with all these scandals that are being exposed?
Yes.
Do you think that Hollywood is like pretty much crumbling before our eyes? Because so for so long, a lot of these Hollywood executives and just people in Hollywood, they've been able to pay their way to get out of trouble. They've been able to hush people up, intimidate people. But now it just seems like we're living in that time of exposure when people are being exposed. And now, like, you know, it's tripped in numbers. Like, you know, once one person comes out, then more people can come out. But I also kind of think this, too. Like, do you think that this whole Hollywood scandal, you think a lot of this is just a distraction of other things that's going on in this country, too? Because let's just keep it real. Like, a lot of the things as far as just, like, all the terrorism that's been happening here domestically, like, we hear about it for, like, about a week, probably not even that long, and then it disappears. But do you think that sometimes, like, things like this that are being pushed? Yeah. Go ahead.
It's worse than that. Look at the Texas shooting at the church. Look at the Manhattan incident where multiple people died. Within 6 hours on CNN, Fox, MSNBC, it was out of the news cycle when they were talking about Trump and Russia. Literally 25-plus people died, and within 6 hours, they're not even talking about it anymore. They're talking about Trump and Russia and whatever. If you look at 20, 30 years ago, this would be a major thing. They'd be talking about it on the news for over a week, nonstop.
Sure. Yeah.
But literally, within 6 hours of this happening now, so it's totally forgotten about mostly, and they're on to something totally different. I mean, if you can go to
the difference between 20 years ago and now is that now we live in a society of now where everything's instantaneous as far as news goes. So if like, for example, whereas the shooting in Texas, it may have been 2-3 days 20 years ago before it made it all over the country. Hell, it took 9/11 was really the first time that, you know, everyone was linked in at the same time on one event. And even that had a 4-hour delay, you know?
Yeah.
I remember I was waking up in Indianapolis, you know, to alarms going off, you know, and when I got up, I'm reading my screen that, you know, the Twin Towers had been attacked. Come to find out, it was 3 hours earlier. You know, so you know, we're living in a now society where everything just flies by. But yeah, back in the day, 20 years ago, something that happened in the West Coast, we may not hear about it in the East Coast for a good week simply because it didn't affect the people in that area. News was more centralized then. So
let me ask you, this brings up a good topic too. Like you brought up the whole entire thing about social media and how it has changed, you know, how we receive news and how we process it. Do you think that social media has like become a double-edged sword? Because like I look at it now, like, you know, a lot of injustices have been caught on social media, but still at the same time we see people showing their ass on social media too. So do you think that it's a double-edged sword? And which way do you think? Is it more of a positive thing or a negative thing that we're now seeing with social media?
I think just in the last, year with Trump and everything, it's just turned the other way. It does more harm than good. I thought at first it was even, some good, some bad, but I think the pendulum has really gone the other way, and it's completely, 75% negative, disruptive stuff, 25% stuff out there, that needs to be, everyone needs to know about. And your other point about Hollywood, I wanted to get into was look at the whole Corey Feldman. For 5 years, he was afraid to come out and say who the person was who molested him and Cory Haim. So with this director, Weinstein, it opened it up, I believe, for everyone in Hollywood now to come out and say who these people are. However, it always appears what it's looking like to me. Some of these people that are coming out are using it as propaganda, something to get back their careers. And so, Hollywood is so much like that. No matter what people say, you just can't trust them.
It's about relevance,
They're the worst of the worst.
Being relevant.
They're the worst of the worst people. They'll sell their souls to the devil, whatever to keep them relevant and get them the next role.
Yes, exactly.
It's that old saying, even bad publicity is still publicity. Right. Here's the thing. Like I remember when all this first started coming out, Ashley Judd coming out saying how she got raped and all this and that by Weinstein. Well, okay, let's go ahead and say that happened. Let's go ahead and play devil's advocate, okay? If it did, horrible. But at the same token, when a lot of these stars were first coming out, Hollywood is a totally different world. It was truly about who you know and how far you were willing to go for you to get your stardom. It's something that's been happening since the silent picture eras, So you have all these people that were still in the old school ways, and, some poor waitress that was trying to become an actress, waiting to get discovered, and she happens to go in for a read. Next thing you know, the little private meeting happens to see if she's going to get the part. And she's willing to do whatever they want her to do in order to get that part. Because, hey, not everyone got raped. Some did do it voluntarily, And from there, we have this. And now some of them are coming out saying, hey, he did this to me, poor me. Oh, not poor you. You did not have to do that. You
look at it this
to do that.
Look at it this way.
Go ahead.
It's not only the big names out there. Think of all the smaller roles, the assistants, the people on the
Absolutely.
They all know this. Believe me, they all know what's going on. Anyone that works with these people, the hundreds of people behind the scenes see this stuff, and they just don't say anything. So, it's not only the big names out in Hollywood, the whole damn system is corrupt beyond, I think, anyone's imagination.
Let me jump in here real quick, guys, because this is another aspect, too, that's very disturbing about the whole Hollywood corruption. Because, like I said, this thing runs very deep. Like it's an endless rabbit hole. Like you'll start going in all kind of directions when we start discussing this. Now, what about these parents? Because I'm going to really get on these parents for a minute, because some of these people are selling their kids out for a check, and I strongly believe that, because that's the whole thing I think that happened with both Corey Feldman and Cory Haim. And countless other Hollywood, like kids that came through Hollywood, like you see, that's why a lot of them now they're addicted to drugs. They're just out here because I think the parents, they were either they were too trusting with their kids and just left them with anybody, didn't check on them, turned a blind eye, or B, they knew what was going on, but they just pretty much turned their kids. They was pretty much pass these kids along like pass arounds, like tricks. So to me, we have to look at the parents as well, because a lot of these kids are going through stuff because the parents didn't care. They're like pimps. They're pimping their kids out, And it's just very sad. Like, it's very sad. Like, and to me, I just think that not only are the people that are actually committing these atrocities, they need to be held accountable. We think the parents should be held accountable to some degree.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, you know, to me, people are too trusting. And I'm going to tell you, you hear more about these young boys that are getting turned down in Hollywood because a lot of times, you know, and I'm glad people are starting to wake up to this fact now that it's not the young girls you got to just watch out for. You got to watch out for these young boys, too, because these young boys, they'll get their booty hole blown out before the girls will. And I'm just being honest with it because, like, I'm just being serious because, like, so many people think that, oh, this won't never happen to my boy. But there's so many kids, especially young boys, that are going through this entire thing. I seen a show on Oprah's network on Young Little Fix My Life, how all these young boys were victims of child molestation, and they started questioning who they were, their sexuality, and all kind of things. It just confuses your child, and like a lot of times these people left their boys around the preacher, they left them around the uncle, they left them around
right.
Tom, Dick, and Harry down the block, and they didn't think nothing about it. And a lot of times it's the people that you least suspect are the ones that are going to abuse your kids. So when we look at this thing that's going on in Hollywood, where a lot of these young, well, they're not so young now, but a lot of these people are coming out and saying that they've been through this stuff, you look back on it like it's because the parents did not care. It was lack of parenting, and it was just sickening.
Well, you know, when the parents were casting them out, and all of a sudden they get a contract offer and they see them zeros with the commas in that contract, they turn blind to the possibilities of everything that may happen. You know, they're like, all right, you know, they've never seen that kind of money before. All of a sudden they're hearing the teacher from Snoopy as they're reading the contract, and they may not notice that the bottom clause says, hey, I'm going to stick it up your kid's butt. You know, they may not notice that. But you know, like you said, the parents become nothing more than pimps. And it's as simple as they get greedy when they see the money. You know, take for example, look, remember that Honey Boo Boo series? Okay. Yeah. Now I'm not gonna bash on the Honey Boo Boo series. I'm using that as an example because remember that came out right in the middle when all these parents were spending all these thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. And we all seen where Honey Boo Boo and her family lived in to put these kids in these pageants. You know, and remember Jean-Benet Ramsey? You know?
Yeah.
It's you know, it's almost a oh God, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say psychotic behavior, but it's like they become numb.
I see where you're going.
Right. Yeah, they become numb for that fortune and fame, you know? And they're willing to do.
And I don't even want to get started on the entire the entire reality TV culture. Like, because I mean, we can even go into what's that family where that really Christian conservative family that had all those kids, and it came to light that they were.
Yeah,
I
like
can't think of it.
12 kids or whatever it was.
And it came out the son was anti-gay and all this stuff, and come to find out he was having an affair on his wife and all this stuff. Right. It was just so much stuff going on, child molestation going on in the family. I cannot think the Duggars.
Incest and all that shit. Oh my God, what was the name?
The Duggars, the Duggar family or something like
that.
That's
what it was. Yeah, the Duggars.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
Well, you know, guys,
I mean, but that's crazy. People. Go ahead.
One of the people in Hollywood that before I respected, Martin Sheen, Apocalypse Now, great actor, many movies. He brought this monster from the King into the industry. He
Mhm.
I heard, the last thing I heard was Martin Sheen.
Well, I said, well, yeah, but he brought this Charlie Sheen, and whether he did this to Haim or not, I tend to think he did, just because of just the history of Charlie Sheen. If you look at porn stars and everything, and if you look at the movie, it's ironic, Lucas, where they say it happened because Charlie Sheen was supposed to be the guy protecting this Lucas, this young kid coming to the school from all the other people in the school bullying him, and he was the one behind the scenes that was doing it to him. So, you got someone like Martin Sheen that has his kid doing this, and, he probably protected him and hid all this stuff behind the scenes and gave money to whoever to keep this out of light. So it's just people that you wouldn't even expect in Hollywood that are doing this stuff as well.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Society has gotten so, and I'm not even going to say has gotten. It's just come to light, okay?
Yeah.
Because this has been going on for years upon years upon years. Like I said, you can go back in time. Look at some of the biggest names out there. That in film history, like Valentino and Rock Hudson, and it's these types of things have been going on for years. Maybe not so much on the whole aspect of child molestation, but having people having affairs, and but back in them days, that was considered a manly thing, to go out and sleep with as many women as you possibly could. That was what a man was. You take a look at the actors back then. How many times did John Wayne ride off into the sunset with a different woman?
Let me tell you, we live in a different time now. You can call thinking you the man all you want. You can sleep with all the people you want to. Now you're gonna end up with something that you can't cure. And
right. You're gonna end up with a disease that starts with the word "the." And nothing good ever starts with the word "the."
Yes, and we discussed that on the show before. Anything that starts with "the," you better steer clear from it. Yes.
That's right. Well,
Matt, you've been kind of quiet for a little bit. Do you have anything to say, Matt, or you have anything to say about the whole?
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, okay. The caller, I didn't catch his name earlier. He was talking about how he doesn't idolize the NFL players, and that's kind of weaved its way into the current conversation, where we've had all these actors that we've idolized for years, and we couldn't even imagine them having done anything as terrible as molesting a child, right? So it seems that with the way our values have changed with entertainment culture these days, it's shifted from idolizing someone who has good values and that kind of thing, and seems like a general good citizen. The values in entertainment have shifted to who is the most striking, shocking personality out there. Like that was the rise of reality television in the first place, was that we've shifted to becoming the loudest person on the scene. If you can do the craziest thing on television, then everybody loves you. And so I think we've started to idolize something different now. So it's not so much you're a good person, you're a good citizen, but as long as you're the most shocking, loudest person out there, we've kind of learned to value that instead. And so I think that's part of how we got the reality TV president that we have now, is that we go after that which is shocking. So sometimes, because those values have changed to that, I think sometimes it starts out, like you were talking about the parents bringing their kids into the television industry. Sometimes they're in there to sell their kids off. Sometimes, just like every parent wants their kids to do better than they did, that's their initial aim. And then once they get in there, they realize all these personalities are doing something behind the scenes because you used to idolize people for being good. And then you realize, oh, no, that really never was it in the first place. So like you said, it's they're all innocent until it all comes to light. So I think these days
the perfect example of that is Miley Cyrus. Look at her father, Billy Ray Cyrus, brings her into the Disney Channel, and then when she's getting too old for Disney, her career kind of stalls, so she just goes off the wall and does some crazy stuff on the music awards and out of there, and she's doing this and that. Now, next thing you know, she's one of the main people on The Voice, one of the best highly rated TV shows out there. So you're exactly right. Just shocking. That's the only thing that matters now. All that stuff of her twerking and on drugs and, with this guy and that guy, it means absolutely nothing now.
Now I'm gonna have to defend Miley Cyrus just on one quick thing. All right, and I don't think it had to deal with Disney, her getting too old for Disney, although that has happened time and time again. Take a look at Hilary Duff. Take a look at I can't remember the name of the other actress. She was a big Disney actress, and then when she went brunette girl,
Even Raven Simone. Like, look at her, how she's wilding out now and just being controversial. Yeah.
I think what Miley Cyrus's issue was the fact that she only knew her dad as her dad, and one day she happened to be watching TV and saw his one hit of Achy Breaky Heart, saw that horrible mullet he sported, and it gave her a nervous breakdown. Because that was the worst mullet ever.
Well, I think something we're seeing with Miley and a lot of these child stars that grow up into successful careers, if that's what we call it. They're not producing an artist or an actor in themselves. The producers behind the scenes are producing an identity, right? Because you can follow the lifelines of these child stars. They start out cute little talented kids. Then they shift them into the adolescent rebellious phase, and they do crazy, crazy stuff. And then they produce one song that's their heartfelt, "We Are the World" song moment. And then they've moved into adulthood. And then they start back over again. They bring in the new child star. So I think what we're really doing is that we're not watching a show so much as investing in identities and life narratives. And that's just how people live, is how we assume. So I think we're seeing ideals of, childhood, adolescent, adult development in media with these child stars, and that's why we're getting to the point that we are, is because we accept that narrative. We accept that's just how it is. Boys will be boys. Justin Bieber's going to drive his car into something, and then he does a sweet romantic song, and he's an adult star now. But I think we're finding identities.
Well, I do agree with that, because we are creating identities. Again, comes that saying, that even bad publicity is still publicity.
Right.
I mean, you can trace that back as far back. I mean, take a look at your Britney Spears and, look at your Lindsay Lohans. And even before that, your Macaulay Culkins. Made all that money off the Home Alone series, decided to, what's the word, divorce his parents so they couldn't touch his money, So, it's almost like they got to step it up a notch just to stay in that limelight, They got to go one step above the people that were before them, So, it's, I don't know. Common sense has gone out the window. And you know what irritates me about that? They're making me sound like my parents.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just the name of the game in Hollywood. Like everybody, it's just a competition on every turn. Like, so the next person has to do something, or they have to be involved in X, Y, and Z. They have to upstage somebody else to remain relevant. It's all about relevance because there's so many people competing in Hollywood. It's very easy for you to, fall to the wayside, and people forget who you are, and they'll be like 10 years later, so, oh, whatever happened to such and such? You know what I'm saying? So
right.
You constantly have to be involved in, like I say, some level of fuckery, pretty much. Like, you have to be involved in some type of foolishness to keep your name in life. And it's not even necessarily about talent all the time. Most of the time it's about just staying relevant. And like you said earlier, JR, it's about publicity, whether it's good or bad. Mm-hmm. It's about keeping your name in life. That's why you see a lot of these artists, people in the hip-hop industry and just stuff like that, when they have a CD come out or they have an album out ready to drop, you notice how there's always a scandal or some type of controversy around. Like they purposely stir up some controversy around the time that they dropping a LP. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things. It's the same in Hollywood. It's the same in the music industry. It's just the same in life and just this culture in general. People need relevance. They need validation, and they're willing to do anything. Like, you see a lot of people now, everybody wants to go viral on social media, and they don't care how they become viral. And they don't necessarily have to become famous. Well, I mean, they're not even famous or talented. They just want that fame and notoriety. They want their name and light. Just like, JR, I know you know about Mr. Deliver, Andrew Caldwell, right?
Yeah.
The one that was talking about he was delivered. Yes, like he's a prime example of that. Like, and he's still trying to ride this 15 minutes of fame we're going in 2018. He became famous back in 2014 at the Church of God in Christ convocation when he came up in that tight ass suit, looking like he was cutting off all his circulation, talking about he's been delivered. You wearing that tight ass suit and that purple bow tie, talking about you've been delivered from homosexuality. and he's still on social media, always putting out people's names, talking about he slept with Cordell Stewart, like the football player, and all this craziness, man. Like, he's trying to do any and everything he can do to hold on to this little bit of fame that he has. And unfortunately, that's just the culture we live in. Like, it's not just in Hollywood. It's everywhere. I mean, you see kids online. You wonder why they get online. They these girls dressing provocatively and getting on Instagram and showing everything off, twerking, fighting videos. Everybody wants that attention. And the thing about it is, I would even understand if you were getting something out of it, but a lot of these people are just doing it for a couple of likes. They're doing it just for somebody can just speak their name. You're not even getting paid off of it. Like, you posting all this stuff up on social media, on Facebook and everything, but you're not even getting paid. You're not even getting paid behind it. So I just think that it's just one of those things where people just want relevance, and they'll go to any length to get it. So that's just my opinion on that.
Yeah. Well, no, we've definitely become a culture that almost worships narcissism at this point. I mean, we wouldn't, if that weren't the case, we wouldn't have songs that are, praising the idea of, I'm going to go do this, but first let me go take a selfie. It's like it's a selfie culture.
Yeah.
It's an iPhone. It's an iPad. everything is I, me. So I think it's that we've lost such a communal connection that I was talking about trauma and shock earlier. I think we've been traumatized as a culture where we've been so disconnected from our history, from our past, from our family, our local communities, that we're so starving for attention from the time we're born onward that we just become obsessed with getting that recognition and affirmation. And really, we just need a connection. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of where we are. So we've become that culture, and our technologies have made it easier. Social media is not the first example of it. It's just made it faster. I mean, once we could record somebody, they were excited to get on the recording. That's it's cool to see yourself and all that, but it's just sped up the transformation of the culture by the speed of the internet. So.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely want to get on that, the whole entire Hollywood thing. And I guess there's several people that's been coming out. We already touched on Charlie Sheen. and about the whole Corey Feldman and Cory Haim situation. And, like, to me, the only thing I found kind of suspect about that situation, I think it was Corey Feldman that was talking about he wanted to do a movie and he wanted to raise $10 million, but he needed to raise $10 million before he would drop the name of these Hollywood executives that have been molesting these kids. And to me, I start to question your credibility. And I'm not saying that, you know, something didn't happen to him, but to me, why wouldn't you just drop this knowledge? Why do you have to profit off of this? Like, if you know the names of these people, you have receipts, and you have, like, all this proof, why couldn't you just come right out and say who these people are so we can get justice? You know what I'm saying? So it just seems like everybody has a motive and an agenda in Hollywood. And even with the people with Harvey Weinstein, like, why is it taking this long for people to come out and say that this guy's done this? And, like, we look at some of the people that, some of the accusers, they've been paid off. So it's just like, you know, everybody's trying to profit off of this thing. You know what I'm saying? And it's just crazy. Now we have this situation with Terry Cruz. He's an actor in Hollywood that claims, now he hasn't came out and said who,
former NFL player and just, I mean,
yeah,
all around nice guy.
Yeah. And it's like, did you hear about his story when he came out and said that he and his wife was at, I guess they was at some gathering or get together, and he said, and he came out recently and said this, like he's never named the names yet, but he said that the guy blatantly came up to him at the party and grabbed his crotch in front of his wife and smirked. And Terry Crews was like, you know, to me, it's just a lot of things that's wrong with this story, because my thing is, to me, if, especially you, I don't even care if you are gay. I ain't even put that in there, but I'm just saying, as far as a heterosexual man, and I don't even care what orientation it is, for you to come up and grab somebody and violate somebody like that, my knee-jerk reaction is I'm going to punch you in your fucking face. I mean, excuse my language, but I'm going to react some type of way, especially you disrespecting me in front of my wife. And I was listening to Tariq Nasheed today, and I was like, man, something's not adding up with that situation, because for someone to feel that emboldened just to come up to you, what kind of energy was you giving off to speak? You as this big old, like, 6-foot-something, 240-pound dude, you allowing another man to come up and grope you, and you don't respond. And I understand, like, you know, you got to still eat, you know what I'm saying? You know, you locked into the, you know, the Hollywood game, but to me it's just like something's still not adding up. And I guess they said, you know, now that I guess he probably feels comfortable now that everybody else is coming out with these accusations and exposing Hollywood. Now he's filing a police report. So I'm just really interested to see where this goes. Like, but to me, he still hasn't named any names yet. So that really goes to show you the power that people really possess in Hollywood, you know. So I don't know. It's just ridiculous. It's really ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, and on the other side of it as well, I think one of the reasons that a lot of people don't come out and drop names or just tell anyone they've been assaulted at all is that when you're employed by someone or when someone's supposed to be your mentor, that's what's so heinous about that crime, is that they really do have power over you in their position. And so if your livelihood, if your income is being held above your head, if you say something against this sexual predator, then your livelihood may be at stake, or your career, or a person who has more power or resources than you, financially, politically, whatever. They can use those resources to, you know, take your name through the mud as well, and they may be able to afford more attorneys than you can. So part of the delay, whether it's Feldman or whomever, could be very well the case that people are afraid that they're going to lose their everything to the reaction of those who are above them. So I think that could be a big part of it, and that's a lot of why the most unreported crime as women's sexual assault is because either it's been done by someone that they love and they're just traumatized by it, or they're afraid that people won't believe them because people tend to give men the benefit of the doubt a lot of the time. So I think there's a lot of power.
And it's even worse. Well. And it's even worse with male victims. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like, you know, I mean, there is a stigma attached behind that. Like, you know, a lot of men have been victims of sexual assault. This is a whole nother story. I want to do a show about this because I think that when we talk about sexual abuse, this can go in so many directions. But as far as like men is concerned, like, you know, that crushes a man's masculinity or his self worth when he experiences that. Even as an adult, even if it happens as a child, like that's something that carries over into adulthood. You know what I'm saying? And there's so many people that are affected by that. And it's just psychologically, and I know you can attest to this because I know you study psychology. Like that has like lifelong effects. Like a lot of people never get help with that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Especially
Absolutely.
A lot of these young boys, and a lot of this abuse that's going on, not only in Hollywood, but we look at in the church, we look in the home. Like it's abuse going on everywhere, and a lot of these people do not get the resources that they need to combat these issues that they've gone through, and I just think it's very unfortunate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I got a couple more stories, and I'm gonna let you guys get off of. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got a couple more stories I'm gonna get to. I'm gonna see what you guys else have to say. I'm gonna move on so we can get off the air. I don't want to hold you guys too long, but I want to get on another troubling story. Now, I wish C was on here tonight because I would like to get a woman's point of view from this about the college student that said that she was being poisoned by her roommate and her college dorm roommate, and she referred to her as a Jamaican Barbie. So the girl was pretty much hating on the girl. She thought that the girl was more prettier than her and all this, that, and the other. And I think it was just all about jealousy. You know what I'm saying? But it was just so crazy. I wanted to talk about this story because, like, it's really scary that you really don't know what people are doing to you, because she only found out that this was happening to her because of when she was finally moving out of her dorm, somebody stopped her and showed her all these posters her roommate put up of her saying, "Oh, I've done this to her makeup. I've put her what she said, toothbrush where the sun don't shine," like all kind of stuff. Like it's crazy, like all this stuff this girl was doing to her for months, and the girl was sick. Like she was going to the doctor. They didn't know what was wrong with this girl. Like it was just like ridiculous. Like, but I'm gonna get to that. But I wanted to see if you guys had anything else to say about this topic that we were currently on before I move on, or are you guys ready to move on, or do you have anything else to add?
Well, if I said anything else about the final topic about you're still referring to Hollywood and all the activity there? Yes, okay. Yeah, the only thing I would say is just the last point is that you were talking before about the trauma of having been the victim of sexual aggression. And something that has become kind of a pop culture slang now is talking about, oh, they got triggered, and it's now become a political word. It's an attack. If you say somebody got triggered, they're out of control, they're emotional, and they're not relevant. And I think that's kind of a perfect example of how we, as a society, are, for whatever reason, not acknowledging that the trauma of attack and sexual aggression is real. And the trigger is a psychological phenomenon. It means you were traumatized at one point, and you still have a psychological effect from that may shut you down or cause you to go into any sort of survival defense move. And I think people need to be a little more sensitive to the realities of that trauma. That's the only thing I would say to add to that last topic. So.
Oh, okay. You got anything else to add, JR? JR. I see him on here. I don't know what's going on.
I lost him.
Yeah. His number's still showing up, though, but anyways, I wanted to move on. I had a couple more stories I wanted to get on really quick, and then we're gonna sign out tonight. But I really wanted to talk about this story because, like, people that have roommates, people that have, I mean, we can even take this next story into like you never know what people are doing, like in these restaurants. You can't really trust people because you don't know where people are coming from. I'm gonna go to a quick clip real quick, and then we're gonna come back and discuss this story. And I also have a follow-up article to this particular story, and we're going to get into just the mindset of certain people, like how deviant and how just wicked some people can be, like have no consideration for other people. So we're going to go to this clip, and I'm going to come back with the rest of my commentary.
Troubling story about a college student charged with harassing her roommate, sparking the hashtag Justice for Jazzy. Nightline's Juju Chang is here with the story. Good morning, Juju.
Good morning, guys. It is absolutely stomach-churning. It is, in many ways, the nightmare scenario when it comes to college roommates. Nauseating allegations and now criminal charges against a freshman who admits to contaminating her roommate's personal belongings. Much of it playing out on Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook.
I felt like I was unwanted in my own room.
This morning, disturbing allegations against 18-year-old college student Brianna Brochu, reportedly bragging on social media that she secretly mistreated her African-American roommate, Chanel Jazzy Rowe.
I'm approached by my old neighbor and two RAs. My old neighbor tells me, "Oh, Chanel, I sent you something on the phone. You need to look at it. It's super important."
In an Instagram post, Brochu refers to spitting in her coconut oil, putting moldy clam dip in her lotions, and other actions too disgusting to share on morning television. Then claiming she'd successfully driven away her freshman roommate, who she called a Jamaican Barbie. Rowe says when she learned of the alleged tampering, she alerted the university. And last week, Brochu was arrested.
Multiple crimes is committed in this thing.
Rowe taking to Facebook to tell her story, getting over 4 million views, alleging that the university should have done more. Jazzy writing, "As a young African-American woman, I don't want to become another statistic. When it comes to college incidents, crimes, and racial cases, justice needs to be served." Many responding to Rowe's traumatic account with the hashtag Justice for Jazzy, calling for the university to address what some are claiming is a hate crime. According to the police report, Brochu admitted to licking her roommate's eating utensils and rubbing bodily fluids on her bag because, she says, she felt Rowe had been rude to her, posting Snapchat videos of her sleeping. Brochu was in court Wednesday, charged with second-degree breach of peace and criminal mischief.
I keep looking at this paragraph, right? Because the paragraph says so much stuff she's done, and at the same time, she says she's done so much more. I don't know the so much more.
University of Hartford president saying the freshman is no longer a student and will not be returning, calling the incident deeply upsetting, adding the accused student's behavior was reprehensible and does not reflect the values of our institution.
Now, Jazzy says she's had a sore throat for weeks and had to see doctors and is now concerned about her ongoing health. We should note that West Hartford police are reportedly requesting that her roommate's charges be upgraded to hate crime.
And Juju, we should say you rightfully sanitize some of the details here. It's even more shocking and worse than you could possibly imagine.
It is absolutely jaw-dropping.
Yeah, we couldn't share some of that on morning television.
Absolutely.
Okay, Juju, thank you for what you did.
Well, hey there, GMA fans.
All right, we're back. Make sure JR's back on. JR, you still with us, or okay, maybe he had to step away for a minute. Okay, getting back to this story that I was talking about, I was gonna probably get to Tyrese, but that story's so lame. I'm probably not gonna even deal with that because he's a lame individual, and I'm not dealing with that because I guess that's another person that's just pretty much starving for attention, and like, you know, I don't know. I don't even want to get into that. But I wanted to read you. Okay, I need to find this story. I had it. About this girl that did this to her roommate. This is an article from USAtoday.com, and it was published actually today, November 9th. And it was written by Mary Bowerman, and it's entitled Hate Crime Charges Sought Against Student Who Rubbed Bodily Fluids on Roommate's Belongings. Now, when this story initially came out, they were just going to give her these petty charges, and this is another piece of the story that they did not report in that clip that I just played from Good Morning America. They did not report the fact that this girl, I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. They didn't report the fact that the school threatened Jasmine that if she went public with this story or if she talked to anybody about it, they threatened to kick her off or out of the university or kick her out of campus housing. You know, never mind the fact that she was the victim. And that's what I'm saying. They didn't mention that in the story. She said that in her Facebook Live posting, which was probably like about 40 minutes. It was too long to play on the show, so I didn't include that today. But she said that the university threatened to kick her out and kick her out of public housing. And I don't know. I think they was going to try to get rid of her out of the university too. And to me, I think at that point she has a lawsuit. Like she can file a lawsuit because how are you the victim of a crime and you're trying to sweep it under the rug and you're making her seem like she's the perpetrator. So I'm going to start reading this article. We're going to go through some of it. You know, if you guys want to read through it, you can. I pretty much gave you the link or the title of it. But the article reads as such. The Connecticut NAACP wants a hate crime charge filed against a former University of Hartford student accused of harassing her black roommate and bragging about it on social media. Members of the Connecticut NAACP and students rallied behind the West Hartford Police, or outside the West Hartford Police Department Wednesday, calling for an immediate hate crime charge. Brianna Brochu, 18, was charged with third-degree criminal mischief and second-degree breach of peace after admitting that she had tampered with her former roommate's food and smeared bodily fluid on her backpack. Now, they're pretty much in this article, I don't know why they're not being more blunt about this, but bodily fluid, like they're not really getting into the actual bodily fluids that she was smearing on the backpack. According to Jasmine's video, she was taking her period, like her tampons, and smearing it on her backpack and like on her articles of like clothing and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how vulgar this chick was. Like, and to me, I think this is kind of like really sickening because like you don't know what people are doing. Like you don't know because she didn't know for a long period of time that this was going on. And like the scary part about it is you don't know what kind of diseases this girl could have had. Like she could have had hepatitis, she could have had HIV, she could have had anything. Like, and for this girl to do this, like I think that this is a wake-up call to a lot of people. And I'm not going to get into the racial aspect of it because that, to me, is just real sickening. And I think it was a lot to do with jealousy and it's just really hateful that you would do that to somebody. And she pretty much told on herself when she referred to her as a Jamaican Barbie. You obviously had an issue with the girl's race, and for you to call her a Barbie, you were pretty much jealous of her because you thought she was pretty, you thought she was attractive. And sometimes, like, women that are attractive, they go through things like this when people are doing mischievous things to them. So police said that they are seeking a hate crime charge against Brochu last week, but Scott Easdale, the president of Connecticut chapter NAACP, said that he was told the West Hartford police had not filed paperwork seeking an additional charge, according to the Hartford Current. Let me skip on down here. Hartford State's Attorney Gail Hardy said investigators are waiting to speak with Brochu's former roommate before proceeding with additional charges. And this is about the video that she posted. In the video, Rose said that she learned of the abuse shortly after moving out when someone told her that Brochu posted a celebratory message on Instagram. And this is what she said. Finally, I did it. Your girl got rid of her roommate. After 1.5 months of spitting in her coconut oil, putting moldy clam dip in her lotion, and rubbing used tampons on her backpack, putting her toothbrush in places where the sun doesn't shine, and so much more, I can finally say goodbye, Jamaican Barbie. So she pretty much incriminated herself, and that's what we were talking about earlier, getting back to the thing we were talking about earlier. A lot of people are so thirsty for recognition, they're so thirsty for validation, they want to just show off to the world, to where a lot of times people are incriminating themselves when they do things on social media. So I just really think that she's really dumb, like the girl that did this, because, like, if she hadn't posted this stuff on social media, she probably would have never got caught. Like, they probably would have just chopped it up as something. So I just think that, I think that the police job, I mean, if they can get on Facebook and solve like half of these murders and half of these crimes by just getting on social media, because people have this inherent need to pretty much tell on themselves or broadcast. Like, when they do stuff, like, people will 9 times out of 10, like these days, they'll give themselves up. Like, and it's just really sad that you're going through this. Like, people are going through this type of thing. Like, you don't know what to expect. Like, when you're roommates with somebody that you don't know, and that's why I would tell people, like, especially college students that are going off to college, just be aware of your surroundings. Don't be so trusting. If you're staying with somebody, just be aware. Just, try to find out about this individual. You know what I'm saying? Keep your things locked up if you can. Just don't be so careless. And I think that's a lesson that a lot of young people need to learn. Like, especially when you're going off to college or you're going into the real world, everybody out here does not have your best interest in heart. And there's some really evil and vindictive people out here that are just straight up animals. Like, this girl is disgusting, and she needs to be locked away, because if she would do that to her, like, what else? Like, I don't know. It's just really sickening. So what do you feel about that, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a mental health issue here. Most crime you can trace back to mental health issue, if not some home history, home situation needing resources or something they can't get a hold of on their own. But obviously it's a mental health issue. And you're right, it does go to show that you can't always predict who's going to be your secret enemy. So, but it does also speak to the value of always everyone you work with, everyone you interact with on a regular basis, always maintaining as positive and constructive relationship as you possibly can, because you never know who's going to be the next secret enemy. So give people the benefit of the doubt, but be prepared for whatever could happen.
All right. We have another caller really quick. I'm going to take this call and see what they have to say. And then I'm hoping we can get JR back on the line. If not, we're just going to wrap it up tonight. But we're going to go to area code 404-921. Caller, do you have a question or a comment? I'm not sure how long you've been listening, but, we're just talking about sexual degeneracy in Hollywood and just, some other current events. I didn't know if you had anything to add to the conversation or you just listened.
Yeah, I wanted to add something, but, I don't know how I missed the majority of the conversation, so I don't know if this is going to get in the way of some stuff y'all hit on already or already covered. But, yeah, I mean, the Hollywood situation, I think, is just more visible because we know who the people are. So when the story happens, since they have a name, it's kind of more well-known. But I think you could put this in pretty much any industry where there's a power dynamic, where there's a reward that somebody's the gatekeeper of, and they can use that to kind of get over on people and kind of get them to do things. So I think as long as that power dynamic exists, hell, if you're the damn manager at Waffle House, if you can push somebody on third shift and they don't want to be on third shift, you can leverage that into something if you're a raggedy dude. or a raggedy woman. So I just think that's the majority of it. It's just the fact that, you know, inequality is so deep in the country right now that sometimes, man, people be willing to take stuff off of people that they normally wouldn't because the payoff could be so good, or, you know, it's the dream job or whatever, if you want to talk about corporate offices and everything like that. But it's a major thing, though, in the country, man.
And I was going to ask you, because we brought this up earlier in the conversation about a lot of these childhood actors and actresses and stuff like that. Do you think a lot of this has to do with the parents, like the parents that just pretty much sold their kids off to Hollywood for a paycheck? Do you think a lot of this abuse that's going on, like with a lot of these executives and stuff like that have been outed that were pretty much molesting these kids, like we just heard the allegations about Charlie Sheen and the whole thing about him raping Cory Haim and all that stuff. Do you think it has a lot to do with the parents, and should they be partially blamed for this as well?
I think you have to go case by case. I think there's going to be some cases where the parents were so wide-eyed and willing to accept anything that was going down that they weren't, you know, as supervisor or attentive as they should have been, because they were so worried about that golden ticket going down. But the ones who would just willingly do that, knowingly do that, I think those cases are going to be far and few between. But I definitely wouldn't doubt that it happens, man, because the stakes are so high. You know what I mean? And when you see people I know people who've done some serious, questionable moral things for a little bit of money. So ain't no telling what folks will do when they know what's on the line like that.
Oh, yeah. For the right amount of money, I kick my own mother's dumb steps.
Oh, damn.
Hey, I didn't know how to comment to that.
I ain't gonna say nothing about that. But I think.
Go ahead. I was gonna say we have a mutual understanding. She gets 50%. You know that, but she knows it. She knows it.
Let me ask you this, caller.
You to do anything less.
Let me ask you this, caller. I noticed like your number is like 404. So are you from the Atlanta area?
Well, I'm not from here, but I'm here now. You know what I mean? So I'm down here.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, the reason why I was asking that, because I noticed, like, we were talking about Hollywood, and we were just talking about earlier we got on the topic about the whole reality TV scene and how, like, we live in a culture now where everybody just wants to put everything out there to remain relevant. Being from Atlanta, you know, there's a lot of reality shows that are taped down there, a lot of hip-hop artists, a lot of musical artists, just people that are trying to make it big in showbiz down there in general. As you know, as we all know, Atlanta is kind of like I consider like a black Hollywood. It's like a, you know, chocolate city down there. Do you notice just like from living down there? I don't know how long you've lived down there, but have you noticed how a lot of people are really thirsty for that relevance or that fame? Or I mean, is it like a culture down there where everybody's trying to be seen? Or, I mean, have you like noticed that living down in ATL?
Yeah, I mean, that's here, but old Atlanta is here too. Like, you know, regular folk, working class, all that kind of stuff is here. But that other part is here too, and it's like the attention economy. How many views, likes, or whatever that you can drive, you know, people will be willing to do whatever spectacle they can to get it. And when you get connected to that scene, as far as the clubs, as far as going through the auditions and stuff like that, man, it's basically a contest of who can stand out. So, yeah, man, it gets kind of ridiculous. And, man, there's some people out here, like some of the stuff that they're doing from week to week in order to keep up a look or to keep up an image, boy, it gets drastic as hell, man. And that's kind of how the scammers got so big down here. Like, you got people pulling scams,
I've heard about that.
Chances to dress a certain way because dressing a certain way will get them in the door of the places you're talking about. So the attention economy is a problem all over the country, but Facebook and Instagram, like maybe in 10 to 15 years, we're going to look back at those two things and say maybe these weren't such good ideas, because I think they're doing a lot of damage.
And we did talk about that earlier. We were talking about the power of social media. And, like, sometimes I brought up the point, too, and I was going to see if you agreed with this. Like, do you think that social media is like a two-edged sword? Like, on one end, like, it has brought a lot of positivity, but on the other end, like, it's kind of, like, contributed to, like, the moral decline of society. Like, because like I said, now I like to look at it from a positive point of view, because, like, now we can go live when there's certain injustices being done, or like you can use the power of social media to put out a positive narrative or a positive message. So I was just wondering, do you feel that it's kind of a two-edged sword? Like, which way do you think? Is it more positive or more negative?
Yeah, it's definitely a two-edged sword, and I would weigh in at more negative. But the positive aspects of it are, like you said, you can get out information. You can actually connect with people who are more like-minded, who you wouldn't have found if it wasn't for social media. So there's definitely some good aspects of it. The ability to get news that would have taken a long time for you to get, and you would have to sift through things to get it. So there's good to it. But when you start talking about the bad, you're talking about people living in echo chambers and only taking in information that they want, not challenging themselves about what they know. The attention part of it, to where you sitting around and you getting mentions or you getting likes, and it's pulling you off tasks that you should be doing. I think that affects our ability to concentrate. You're writing a paper, all of a sudden, well, let me check Facebook real quick. Hour and a half later, I got to get back to the paper. Like that kind of thing, I think that does affect people. Or sometimes acting in a way because you want to do something for the gram. So all of a sudden, you're having behavior that you wouldn't normally do, but you think this is a shareable moment, so you do it. Like that kind of stuff, that's when we get into rewiring of the brain to a degree, because now you're thinking differently. Hell, you've seen some of these young kids in some, social aspects to where it's like, okay, some of these kids only can really communicate well by texting. If they're around people or sitting down and looking at you eye to eye, they're uncomfortable. So that kind of stuff, that's the neg I'm looking at.
And you brought up, that's a good point, because you look at, like, especially this younger generation now, we wonder why they're so, like, they come across as so socially awkward. Like, you know what I'm saying? They don't know how to socialize with people. They don't know how to, I don't know, it's just like they're rewired differently, like you just said. Like, I think that just the whole entire social media thing has just made us evolve into like this beast that it's just like we don't have any compassion for other people. We don't know how to communicate effectively. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'll even admit too, sometimes, like, I'll find myself, like, if I'm in an uncomfortable situation or I'm waiting or something like that, or you know what I'm saying, I'll start playing with my phone or going to social media, because like that's a good coping. I'm not gonna say it's a good, but I say it's a coping mechanism for some people to pull out their phone or get on social media or something like that. But
and I'm not yelling these things from a soapbox. I'm guilty of these things too. Like, I'm right with you on that.
Yeah,
bro.
I was gonna ask you too, brother. Like,
so much good on.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you this too, because I want to get your opinion on this. What do you feel about the entire? Well, we just talked about. Did you hear about that girl that was poisoned by her roommate? Like that black girl that was poisoned by her roommate. The girl was putting all kind of stuff. I said, man, that is crazy, and like that kind of goes back into what I was saying about the whole social media. Man, people are so ridiculous these days that they'll pretty much tell on themselves. Like, this girl was putting all this stuff on Instagram that, she was taking pictures and pretty much telling on herself, talking about she done poisoned this girl's products and stuff like that, put her toothbrush in her hand, just all kind of crazy stuff. And that's what I'm saying, man. Like, I think social media, I'm kind of like in agreement with you. Like, it's doing more negative than good. Like, I mean, because you got people out here, and I guess that's a relative term, because like if you're telling on yourself or you are out here committing crimes and you put it on Facebook, I guess that's a good thing, because you pretty much are helping the police to catch bad guys, but man, that whole situation was like real.
Right, and then comes the question of, are you doing that action because you needed to create some content in your mind? Like everybody's walking around as their own kind of producer and coming up with content all the time to keep people watching, following, or whatever. So, that kind of chicken or egg kind of thing comes in. And I know this ain't going to sound right, man, but I would suggest folks go to HBCUs, man. I don't think we should go to places where we're not wanted. Like if a school shows an extreme care about diversity and wants you to come there, and the student body, seems to be to where it's cool there being mixed, having a mixed population there, then I understand. But I wouldn't go to these places where it seems the people don't want you there.
And I do think, like you said, when they're trying to push really hard, and that's a good point that you brought up. Like, you ever been somewhere where they just, you just feel unwanted, like, and they got you're there as a token. You know what I'm saying? And to me, I think when situations like that occur, I think that's something negative is going to come out of that more than something good. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's a problem with our community. Sometimes the black community is like, we are always trying to buy acceptance from people that really don't want us. Like, people that don't want our money, people that don't want our business. Like, we're always trying to bend over backwards, trying to be accepted. And to me, I just think it's time out for doing that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they don't realize our value and our worth, then that's them missing out. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I just really think that we should really start taking more pride in who we are and what we have to bring to the table, because we have a lot to bring to the table. Like, we are some of the biggest consumers, like, and the thing about it is like, we just blindly give our money to communities or people that have no respect for us. None. And I think we need to get out of that habit, like, and start patronizing our own and building our own up. Like you said, it's okay to, help out other people or support other people. Sometimes we got to help our own out, build our own communities up. So,
I agree 100. But then, and then I would add this qualifier on it. And when you're in somewhere else, that necessarily no black person is going to own, because, hell, we ain't going to control, all the industries or whatever, at least I need to see some black staff there. You know what I'm saying? I need to know somebody there is getting a check. And when you do go to these places and you see one of us there, man, go to the site and give that person a good recommendation, or write that person or whatever. Kudos there. Now, I know some of us give bad service, man, but, just bear with them, man. Bear with them.
And that's my thing, too. Like, we have to support reputable businesses and people that are doing reputable things. I'm not just going to give you support because you're another brother or sister, because sometimes, you know what I'm saying, we can mess the game up for other people. You know what I'm saying? So, if you're doing right.
Flip it like this. If you're a raggedy owner, I'm supporting the black folks you got working there at the front desk. And if you're a raggedy rude front desk person, I'm supporting the black owner who don't know you raggedy up here. And like I said, I know you dead right in saying that we need to hold ourselves to a standard. But damn, sometimes we just gonna have to bear with our folks, man, because we got to start from somewhere. We do. Whew. Yeah. So, JR, what do you feel about that entire conversation? Like, because I think, man, I got a good topic for next show, and I really like you 404. You got to come back to my show, because I got some things that I'm gonna be talking about in the next show, because about as far as racist, we're on Facebook under the Urban Coalition of Freelance Writers, or UCOFW. So that's where I send out the updates for the show times and stuff like that. But JR, what do you feel about that? Like, do you think that there's is there any? Because I know you're part of the Latino community or Hispanic community. What do you feel that that's a good thing for people to support their own community and build up their own people?
Absolutely. It's so like you know a lot about my background, you know, whereas a lot of the listeners probably do not. I was born in Puerto Rico. I moved at the age of 9 to a little town called Huntingburg, Indiana. It's in southern Indiana. My family was the first minorities in that entire county. You know, we were the first Hispanics, first people of color. It's a total. Before us, it was a total German county. You know, you know, and yeah, absolutely we do. I mean, I'm not going to bring any politics into this, but I do got to say one thing. You know, if we don't take care of our own, who's going to take care of us? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's true.
So,
that's true.
You know, I will always, you know, of course, you know, if a place is going to give me some horrible service, I'm going to call them out, you know. But if they give me great service, I'm going to give it to them, you know, give them props, man.
Yeah,
right. And I will always. I've been known to tip 100% of my check because I've had that good of service, you know. But I've also been known, like for example, I the other day I picked up my kid, man, my youngest from school, and I felt like eating Chinese, right? And he's like, "All right, Dad, let's go get Chinese." So we go to this Chinese buffet. Now in Jasper, Indiana, which is a town of about 15,000 people. There are 3 Chinese buffet places there, okay? And I went to the one that was closest to me. Anyways, I'm sitting there. Their food's really good when it's fresh. I've ate there 1,000 times. I'm sitting there, and my kid's eyes get wide open. And I'm like, what the hell? What's wrong? And he won't tell me, right? And I'm looking around, and he goes, Dad, look right behind you. And I look, and there was a cockroach on the wall.
Oh, my God.
You know, and that was my reaction. I was like, "Oh hell no, that's a cockroach!" Now cockroaches are nocturnal, so if they're out there in the day, that means you got an infestation. You know,
man,
so
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you, man, I'm sitting there and I see the manager come up. I'm like, why is there a cockroach right there, right? And imagine this little Chinese lady comes over and she had this towel in her hand and she smashes the cockroach, right?
Man, don't do this to me. I already know where this is about to go.
Then she goes to the buffet with the same towel and continues to wipe down the buffet. I was like, no, I'm done. I'm not eating no more Chinese. I called the Department of Health on that shit, man. I posted reviews, horrible reviews on that, man. It just ruined an entire ethnicity for me.
Let me tell you something, and that's my problem. Like, I'm just gonna be 100% real. Like, and that's a good topic because, like, I know, like, especially in a lot of these communities where a lot of Asians own businesses, especially these Chinese restaurants or these beauty supply chains or stores or whatever.
Right.
They come in these urban communities and they treat the customers like shit. They give them any type of service. They don't eat that food. When you go in them Chinese restaurants, you see that line, man, going out the damn door sometimes. But they don't. The standards are not the same as if you go out to a Fisher's or a Carmel or like in the suburbs somewhere.
Right.
You don't see the same standard. And then they want to get them people in and get them out. They talk to them reckless. They throw their food at them, and then you go to these Chinese stores. They don't hire black people, but you eating off our community. You selling mostly black products. You selling them this cheap, inferior hair. They're not even selling top quality hair. It's crazy, and we support these people. We really support these people, and they don't put anything back into the black community.
I'm gonna call out a place real quick. So I can't remember what their name is, but we keep it
real on this show.
Right, that Chinese buffet there on Lafayette and, Lafayette and what is that, 32nd, 16th, no, not 16th, 32nd.
You talking about, no, you're not talking about, teppanyaki.
It's like
Are you?
It's like $2.99 buffet, something like that,
I ain't messing with no $2.99 buffet. I ain't doing that.
Right.
That don't even sound right. That sounds suspect.
Well, it's right there. It's on the corner. I swear it's 32nd Street and Lafayette. It's right there on the Northwest Plaza. Okay. It's right across
that area suspect.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, so by Saraga. Where? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So what are you talking about?
I go there. I went to eat there a couple of times because it was cheap. Right. I never had a problem with it. But there are certain things that you don't touch when you're eating at a $2.99 buffet. So I took my sister there. Right. And you met my sister. And she starts mowing on the crab meat, right? Just mowing on the crab meat. I said, sis, you may want to take it easy on that. Keep in mind it's a $2.99 buffet,
Yeah, goes, they compromising and cutting corners on quality somehow. Yeah,
right. That may not necessarily be crab meat. I've never ate crab meat at a buffet for $2.99. And she's just bowing on this stuff, right? Dude, 2 hours later, she is in the bathroom. And she's like, oh, my God, that's just killing me. And I told her, I said, $2.99 buffet. That's all I got to say. I warned you.
Man, I don't know where you going to get anything. I don't know where you go to get something $2.99 these days.
Right.
And then that's gonna be filling too. Like that's what I said about them Chinese buffets, man. That's the worst rip off in the damn world, man. You pay all that money to go to them buffets, you leave there, you feel like you ain't ate nothing like an hour or two later.
Right. But yeah, man,
and then some of that meat be so damn chewy, you don't even know what the consistency of that meat is. You don't know what you eat. They saying it's chicken, but I don't know. The last time I ate some chicken, that's just gristly and just I don't know about some of this stuff sometimes, man.
Hey, look, in 1993, when I was in the Marine Corps, one of the first things I did, I went to Tijuana. I crossed the border into Tijuana, Mexico, just to see what was in Tijuana, Mexico. And anybody that's ever walked through the border into Tijuana, Mexico can be witness to this. So as soon as you walk into the Mexican side, right, there's these little fire pit stands, okay? I kid you not, this is a quote. It looks like these big lemonade stands. On the top sign, it says Taco Bell, right? And you got fresh friggin' guacamole and onions and ceviche and all that. And then there's this big slab of meat over an open fire. Now, I don't know what that big slab of meat is.
Man.
But whenever you're drunk and you got $5 left and these are like for 25 cents a taco, you're eating it, I don't ask questions. All I know is that it was meat. It was. I just know that big slab of meat was too big to be a dog. Might have been horse. Might have been cow. I don't know.
Yeah, it could have been some damn. Well, I ain't gonna say no monkey meat. If it was that damn big, well, yeah, it's bigger than a monkey.
Oh yeah. This is a big slab of meat, man. It was definitely a thigh of something, And they would, man. Go ahead.
And this is my thing, JR. I like to consider myself a fairly open-minded person, especially when it comes to, food. I like, tasting foods from different cultures and stuff like that. I'm pretty open-minded. And man, let me know what I'm walking into. You know what I'm saying? Just don't tell me that that I'm eating some damn chicken and I'm eating some meow meow mix. You know what I'm saying? Like, just let me know what I'm walking into, like, before I walk into it, because I don't want to be caught off guard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I've heard rumors about some of these Chinese restaurants catching these cats and these rats and stuff and skinning them and chopping them on up and putting them in their food. Now, I've heard a couple stories about that. So I'm just saying, let me know that the damn deep fried cat and rat is on the menu if that's what you're serving.
Well, you ever notice, just look around the neighborhood, you ever notice there ain't no stray cats near a Chinese restaurant now?
Yes. And that's the thing, and the thing about it is and this is the thing about, like, people that are in the food industry, and this is, like, something that, you know, I think about often. Like, do these people really care about how they prepare your food? Like, because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to even consume that food from that restaurant. So, like, I mean, I don't know, man. I think about that sometimes. Like, do you think that, like, these people even care about the quality of food that they're putting out there?
No, I don't.
I've heard some horror stories.
I think, I've seen it firsthand. I believe that some of these people, they're just in it. They get the cheapest. Okay, here's a good example. I used to watch this show called The League, all right? And The League was about this group of friends who played fantasy football, thus the name The League, right? Anyways, funny-ass show. This one episode, there was a restaurant that they went to when they were in college by the name of Yobagoya, okay? And Yobagoya was famous for having a 5-pound tub of meat. But the thing was, they could barely legally call it meat because of the consistency, right? So, that's they go for the cheapest route possible, you know? I don't know if you remember, what was it, a couple of years back, there was a huge ordeal with Aldi's, like 1 or 2 years ago, where they were selling horse meat as ground beef.
Really?
Yeah, look it up. But see, that's the thing. Aldi's is their origins is in Germany. You know, the supermarket chain. It's in Germany. It's not, you know, unusual to get that in Europe. You know, that's what we think is like odd, or like what we feel is something that we just like normal. Like they probably consider like consuming horse is probably something that, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like they probably don't think of that as they don't look at a horse like, you know, think of Mr. Ed or Silver from the Lone Ranger or anything like that. I look at a horse, and after you use it up, you know, we got meat for a year. You know, and God bless them. You know, in some of them countries, food is scarce. You know, if that's what they got to do to survive, so be it. You know, I don't know, man. Like in Philippines and Vietnam, you know, roaches. They eat roaches. You know,
I mean, but you look at certain cultures too. Cause I was just talking to this guy I work with. He's Indian. We got on the topic about, you know, like what different cultures consume and stuff like that. And he was just saying how, like, they can eat anything in their culture. The only thing they can't eat is cow. They can eat anything else. Right. They can't eat a cow. To them, that's just off limits to them. And then you have some cultures, like people in the Jewish culture and stuff like that, or Muslims, that they don't believe in eating pork. Or you know, some people don't believe in eating shellfish. So it's just some things that we feel like in our society that we consume that we don't think twice about. But like other cultures, they look at it as like, nah, that's off limits. So it's I guess it's just subject to a person's beliefs or culture or, you know, their background or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
I don't know. It's just a relative term, like, you know. So
yeah, it's like I got this friend of mine who teases me to this day. I get disgusted with cucumbers and pickles. Okay, especially pickles. Not so much cucumbers, but pickles just disgust me. The taste. I think it has to deal with the vinegar. You know, I don't know. I've tried it, never found a pickle I like. So she's always sending me all these recipes for like pickled flavored cupcakes and all this and that, right? So she's a vegan. So this one day I'm eating this big fat ribeye that was medium rare. I mean, blood still coming out of it. And I take a picture and I tagged her on. I said, how does this feel? I haven't been tagged on another pickle thing since.
You know, that's just like, oh, that's like somebody scratching like the nails on the chalkboard. When you're seeing like, yeah, man, that is funny.
Oh my gosh, man! I'm telling you, but yeah, it's something else, man. It's sad, you know, and this is what really should honestly wake people up to a lot of these restaurants, because we're putting our trust in these people, you know. And when a fast food restaurant gets a better health department rating than the buffet place that you're going to go eat at, that should be the first red light, you know? When McDonald's or Taco Bell has got a cleaner restaurant than the place you're currently at, that's a red light. You know?
Yes. Oh, yes. And let me tell you this, like, I'm going to tell you this too, JR, and I'm gonna get your opinion on this. Now, this is a good rule of thumb that if you eating at a good, reputable Chinese restaurant or just like an Asian restaurant, or I'll even say any cultural restaurant, if you don't see them Chinese people sitting down there eating that same damn food that they serving, or if you don't see no Chinese people eating in a Chinese restaurant, that's a red flag to me too. I just really believe that. Like, because you notice how you go to some of those Chinese, them little like you said, them $2.99 buffets, and you see them Chinese people sitting there taking a break. They eating stuff, but they ain't even eating the stuff that's at the buffet or on the menu.
Right.
Now I don't know. You better reconsider your life when you go in there.
Another red light that's going to make me sound racist. I'm just going to say that right off the get-go. But when I'm going to a Chinese restaurant and I see Jose cooking my Chinese food, you know, I'm
just going to be real with you. Like, I've seen that, and I was like, okay. I guess the Chinese do this. Equal opportunity employers, okay, come through. Come through equal opportunity employment.
That's one way to look at it.
It does throw you off, though.
Yeah. You know, I don't know, man. You know, it's gotten bad. Like, I remember one time, this was like right before I left Indy, and I left Indy in 2014, 2015? 2014, yeah. So, I remember I read this article of the top 10 worst restaurants around Indianapolis to eat at, okay? The top 10, all right? Ruby Tuesdays made 3 of the top 10. You know, like 3 different locations were in the top 10. You know, oh God, man. I tell you what's a place I am not big on whatsoever. Like everyone that I know loves this place. I cannot stand it. Chick-fil-A.
I don't like it either. It's just like bland chicken. To me, right. I can't do that. Like,
every Chick-fil-A I've gone in has got this mist, this like film, but like they really need to replace their ventilation there. I've gone to eat a Kentucky Fried Chicken, Church's, you name, chicken places out the ass, but Chick-fil-A is the only one that it just feels like I'm breathing the grease that it's being fried in. You know, like all their tables have got this greasy mist on it. You know, I can't get past that, man. I don't like it. I think it's overhyped. And in all honesty, it is also the purest form of irony with them. There's a bit of irony with Chick-fil-A. The fact that they're sponsor of the NFL, right? They've got Chick-fil-A locations open in multiple NFL stadiums, but they're not opened on Sundays, which is the primary day for NFL games.
Right. Oh, man, I know what I was going to ask you about, JR. I'm glad you brought that up. Did you hear about the CEO of Papa John's blaming his decline in sales over the NFL protest?
Yep.
Now, mind you, no other pizza chain that came out and said that. That pizza is shit. It's garbage, man. Papa John's is disgusting, man. And I'm not just saying that because of that. Papa John's pizza is nasty.
The reason you haven't heard that about any other pizza chain is because Papa John's is the official NFL pizza. Like they've got the rights to the NFL games as far as sponsorships go. But I absolutely agree with you 100% on that. Yes, I did hear about that. I think two things with that. Again, and that goes back to my very beginning statement, follow the money. The CEO of Papa John's is a very, very wealthy man. You know, he has proved that the American dream is still alive. You know, the dude started his own pizza chain at 22 years old out of Louisville, Kentucky, to turn it into what it is now. Okay? So, with all that said, he is also how do I say this? I'm not going to say he's full-blown right-wing, but a lot of his friends are. So, take, for example,
he's a huge I heard he's a huge Donald Trump supporter. So that gets into that narrative where he So we know which way that goes. But to me,
keep in mind he's got NFL stadiums sell his pizza as well. So when you got his name, like say in Dallas Stadium, where Dallas Cowboys play, which is the largest sporting event stadium in the world right now. And Jerry Jones is a very close friend of his. And Jerry Jones, who's the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, is very much against the protest, which we're going to go back to this in just a second. If Jerry Jones is putting money into Papa John's, and Papa John's is paying to have their place there, and have their name there, and Jerry Jones tells them, hey, look, if you don't say this without making it look like I told you to say it, but if you don't say this, I'm going to make sure your name gets taken out of here, out of the Houston Stadium, out of the Washington, D.C. Stadium, because them are all friends of his, And this is how much you're going to lose. Make it look like it's you wrote this and it's business. And
you think he actually told him to do that? Like, you think he would try to sabotage it? sabotage his friend's business like that?
Absolutely. These are billionaires that are used to getting their way. You know, and when they don't get their way, they're like a child throwing a tantrum.
Yeah, I just like, to me, and it kind of makes sense. I just don't believe someone, like you said, that was that business savvy would just willingly self-sabotage their business like that. Like, it has to be. I just will hope that he's not that dumb to just do that on his own. Like, it probably is a backstory to that. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. I absolutely believe it is. Because take a look at this right now, and this is a very recent sports story, right? Jerry Jones, again, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, literally is filing suit against the NFL in order to get their commissioner not to get extension contract, okay? The reason why, and up till like 3 weeks ago, they were on the same side, but at the last meeting between the NFL players and the owners, the commissioner took side with the players, you know, saying, yeah, these things are happening. We need to address them. You guys, the owners, as billionaires, now keep in mind the commissioner works for the owners. He doesn't work for the players, right? The guys that sign his checks are the owners. So he's like, you guys have the money. You guys have got the political pull. You need to be looking into these things, you know? Jerry Jones didn't like that. Now Jerry Jones is trying to boycott his reinstatement, you know, sabotage it, you know, also because his number one running back, you know, is suspended for half the season. So, you know, he doesn't like that because it's going to interfere with his money, okay?
Right.
These are people that are used to people saying, yes, sir, whatever you want, you know. Look, 5 years ago, there was a picture of Jerry Jones walking around his office in his boxers that circled around. You know what Jerry Jones said? Yeah, so what? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's where I got left at. All right, so what? You know, where do we go from here?
You got own boss. Right, you set your rule. Yeah. That's the dream of that's the beauty of your own boss. Yeah.
Right. So, you know, I absolutely believe that there's more to it than that, you know, for the simple fact that I've seen it firsthand. Now, the other story I want to say with the NFL, Martha Ford, who the descendant of the Ford family, they own the Detroit Lions. You know, she is the first owner to step up and say, all right, guys, telling her players, all right, guys, you know, we can't have y'all kneeling down anymore. Tell me what needs to get done. Tell me where I need to put money into and what I need to do, and I'll do it. But we can't have y'all kneeling down. So they called her out on it. And I said, all right, we can start by here. She made huge donations to the Detroit public school systems and all that, you know, trying to, you know, to help rebuild the education in the inner city Detroit, which it's no secret that it's horrible, you know. And, yeah, as of last week, the players have stopped kneeling. You know, her players.
But, you know, I think a lot of people don't realize about the entire process. It's a systematic thing. It's nothing that you just can't write a couple checks and then just think that the problem's solved. You see what I'm saying?
No,
everybody's trying to change the narrative. They're trying to change the narrative of the protest. It's not about disrespecting the country. It's not about that. And see, that's people. We have to keep the narrative on point. We have to make sure that people don't lose sight of that. You know what I'm saying? And even within the NFL, Go ahead.
Yo, hold on. What I was saying is, she's the first of all these billionaires to take initiative and start it, And
right.
she's well aware, the Ford family has got more money than God, She's well aware that it's going to take a long time, and it's going to be a working process. But she, by doing this, is also challenging her players to be active in the very causes they're trying to champion on,
Yeah.
So she's basically saying, I will fund it, and I will do whatever needs to get done. But you guys have got to stick with it. Don't stop it now that I'm writing the checks. All that she's asking is, don't kneel,
Yeah. I just don't know how I feel about that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't feel right about that. It's like you're trying to bribe somebody to go against what they believe. Like, because you writing them out a check, you using your money to bribe people.
Well,
like, it goes deeper than
it's not just the money, though. She's also using her political influence around the inner city, which, the inner city schools in Detroit are horrible, as they are in most metropolitan areas, like New York City, Chicago, they're horrible, and it's a business for all these politicians. They could care less whether minorities get educated. All they care about is funding for their projects. But if here's a prominent person who has got their ear saying, hey, I demand that so much money gets put into this. Let's build these schools. Let's build these neighborhoods. Let's get it rolling to that way better it. But there was a time when Detroit was known as the Paris of the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Why couldn't it be that? Why couldn't it be that? But, as of right now, it ain't. It's known for its violence.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's just this is a topic that can go in so many different directions. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. Yeah, there was something else I was going to ask you about. Yeah, I was going to ask you about something else real quick before I get off. But I forgot. So we'll just continue on the next show. But yeah, man, like, yeah, I appreciate you coming on. I know it's a last minute thing. I said I got to do a show for the people. People have been asking me when I'm going to do another broadcast, and I've been telling you guys. So I'm going to do it next week. I'm going to do it this week. Yeah, let me just go ahead and just do it. Like, that's